All right, we're here with Dr. Dina. He's one of the presenters at the Woodstock Fruit Festival, and I really enjoyed his lectures at here, and I wanted to do a quick interview with him. And I was wondering, you've been doing this for like 20 years, a fruit-based diet for 20 years.
27, actually.
27.
Since started in 1987, I was about 19 years old.
Wow, wow. So how did you get into this?
Got bugs here. Well, you know, as the saying goes, I was sick and tired of feeling sick and tired. I know, Mike, you just explained you had some like nasal congestion and stuff. I was always clogged up with mucus as a kid, and in the spring I had terrible hay fever problems. My nose would just run all day. I'd sneeze all day. The side of my nose would get all crusty from blowing my nose 100 times a day. And I didn't feel my best, and got into my freshman year in college, and like a lot of people, partied it up, drank too much beer and stuff. Then I was just starting to get more of a gut built up, and I just was not feeling good. My brain was kind of cloudy. So I got interested in health. My younger brother, in his high school track, he had gotten into eating healthy and into sports nutrition. So I started reading some of those sports nutrition books, and they were saying, eat more whole foods and don't eat as much fat. So I started by taking the skin off my chicken and ordering pizza with half as much cheese, but putting a paper towel on there to soak up the grease, and, eating more whole grains instead of refined grains. And just by making a few changes like that, I really started to notice a difference, and I started to get some exercise, and, just some of those basic changes really started to feel better. And then from there, read the book Fit for Life, which introduced me to natural hygiene and a raw food diet, and then got into Dr. John McDougall, who had all the scientific reasons for eating a fully plant-based diet, and just read more and did more and started feeling better and better and better. And, within a few years of that, I'm just like, man, I am hooked. This is just, life is better, your brain is clear, you feel good, and ever since then, I've just kept going. Went to chiropractic school, learned all the basic sciences. I did a fasting internship and spent 4 years watching what happens when people
Was that
fast.
at True North?
That was at True North with Dr. Alan Goldhammer. So I did a 6-month internship and then stayed another 3.5 years. And then since that time in my own clinical practice, and now my wife is as excited about this stuff as I am. We're actually from the same hometown, which is kind of cool. We didn't know each other back then, but we met later on. And we just keep researching and investigating things, and now we've got this whole 100-hour Science of Raw Food Nutrition curriculum that we teach. And so we shared some of that stuff here at the Fruit Festival and some other things. And, some people, depends on the person, some people really enjoy hearing some of the scientific details and seeing that everything fits together. And I think for those folks, we kind of, fill in a gap there.
Oh, yeah.
And I think Mike's one of those nerdy guys that like to hear that scientific stuff, so glad you liked the
I thought
lecture.
it was the best lectures at the Woodstock Fruit Festival. I mean, it's like...
Well, I'm honored, thank you.
It's got to be science-based, or it's, it's just kind of, he said, she said stuff.
Yeah.
And, where can they find more about your work, and how do I sign up for a school? I mean, can you do it online, or...
Yeah, so our website is rawfoodeducation.com, and there you can see our Science of Raw Food Nutrition classes that we teach at the Living Light Culinary Institute in Northern California. So basically it's a culinary school where they teach people how to make sort of the fancy raw food gourmet kind of stuff, which is great stuff when someone's transitioning from a typical modern diet into a healthier diet. If you take someone eating hamburgers, hot dogs, French fries, and say, hey man, here's 8 oranges, that's your breakfast, they're going to be like, I don't think so. Hey man, here's a gigantic salad, that's your dinner. You're not going to win people over that way, typically, not the average person. So you start them out with some fancier things that taste really good, that are like the foods that they're used to. Then they say, man, this wasn't so bad, that was kind of good. And then it gets them coming along, and eventually, hopefully, if they keep at it, they're just eating much simpler fruits and vegetables. And that is a typical transition. So anyway, that's where we teach our classes, and we teach all about the science of raw food nutrition, why a fruit and vegetable based diet is good for you, and and how you can get enough protein, calcium, iron, B12, vitamin D, how all this stuff works. We got 100 hours worth of it, and it gets really into depth. We look at scientific studies. We make sense out of everything. People learn an enormous amount, and it's awesome. We love teaching it. We love seeing those light bulbs go off over people's head. So anyway, that's what people can learn about our classes. And then, if I may say, there's other stuff on our website. You can check out my YouTube channel, my wife's YouTube channel, Dr. Dina. She's been a vegan for 25 years and eating mostly raw for 24 years. So between the two of us, we've got a lot of experience,
it's like close to
and a lot of
years.
It's over 50 years collectively.
And I want to ask you, what's an average day for food for you? Just like
an average day of food, gosh, a typical day, I might have like a melon in the morning for breakfast, just like, cut it in half and eat both halves, just scoop the seeds out and then eat the rest. Typical lunch might be like a fruit and green smoothie, where I'll put a couple of oranges and 2 or 3 fresh bananas and blend those up in a blender with, if you were to buy kale at the store, maybe like 4 or 5 leaves of kale, where I just like hold the stem and just pluck the green part off. But these days, we grow our own greens in the backyard. So we've got these tree collards, and they have these big leaves. Probably. I have to edit this. Sorry. You got these big Dumbo leaves, like the size of this weight. So I'll put like maybe a couple of those in the blender. So oranges, bananas, bunch of green leaves, and then some frozen fruit, like some frozen mangoes or some berries and that type of thing. And it makes like a quart or so. So that's a typical lunch, and that fuels me up. The fruit tastes great. The greens add some extra good nutrition and minerals and other phytonutrients in there. So that I'm good and full for lunch. And then dinner is, an absolutely gigantic salad. It's if you go to a typical holiday gathering, and there's 14 of your family members around, and they've got the one big salad bowl for everyone, like that's the size of salad that my wife and I eat each night. So it's typically like a whole head of romaine lettuce. It's maybe I've got like 2 or 3 zucchinis shredded in there, maybe some carrot, and usually a whole head of raw cauliflower, because I love raw cauliflower.
Really
you should not be afraid of the raw cruciferous vegetables.
#1 cancer-fighting vegetable out there.
They are super awesome. And then we usually make a dressing that includes a little bit of nuts and seeds or a little bit of avocado or something like that. Sometimes we'll just mush up avocado and diced tomato, like guacamole thinned out a little bit, and then mix that all around the salad as the dressing.
Basically, same thing I eat too.
Yeah. Sometimes we'll blend up like some fresh and sun-dried tomatoes and a couple of dates, and then add a couple tablespoons of chia seeds. Makes the dressing real nice and thick, and then we'll pour that over and mix that up with the salad. My wife likes those things sometimes a little more flavorful than me. I just like the simpler things. So she might add a few Italian seasonings or some chopped up what are those things called? So some chopped up chives or something, like the little onion things, and so it's all pretty similar. So basically, fruit based with lots of vegetables in there. And the smoothie during the day really helps get more green vegetables in there. That I'll admit it. As much as I love vegetables, I wouldn't sit down and just like eat some kale or some tree collards. And you could. The tree collards in the right season are really mild, and they might be okay in a salad, but I don't know. But if you throw them in the blender with some fresh fruit, you green it all up, and it still tastes mostly like the fruit. So. Pretty much fruit and greens and a few nuts and seeds. That's my basic diet day in and day out.
Pretty simple stuff. You don't have to go, mixing a whole bunch of different things together. Pretty simple. This is easy stuff. So how many calories would you say you get in a day?
Well, unlike Mike, I've been a slacker lately on the exercise, I probably eat about 2,000 calories a day. I've actually analyzed that similar diet I just mentioned a few times, and it usually comes out right around 2,000. Now, in the past, and as well as in the future, when I'm getting to the gym and working out more and getting out there running, which is probably my favorite activity, that's probably more like 2,500 calories a day.
yeah, it depends on your activity level, your age, your height, all this kind of stuff to determine how many calories that you should be eating. And I think you're pretty much like me. I mean, we don't sit around counting each calorie. I mean, it's really hard to do. I mean, and not every banana is going to be 65 calories per serving.
And you don't want to get your scale out at every meal. I mean, that's...
So we just eat till satiation, and we're slim, too.
Yeah, and exactly. I basically, on a few occasions, I have put in my daily diet to see what's there and how many calories are there. And that's interesting, but... Yeah. I've done it a few times.
Yeah.
And I don't do it every day, every week, probably not even every year.
Yeah.
Because when you eat fruits and vegetables that are full of water, full of fiber, have not too many calories, they fill you up.
Yeah.
You let your satiety mechanisms and your hypothalamus regulate ghrelin levels and other hormones, and that helps you decide what the right amount. So it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
You eat a lot of food, and you fill up, and you feel good, and you're satisfied, and you're never deprived, and you feel great, and then you have the right amount of body fat, which is just a little bit that you need. And it's just, it's no scales, no calculators, no slide rules, no charts, no points.
Yeah.
You just eat till you're full, and life's good. Everything tends to work out. It's a great thing.
Yeah, it's hard to do that on any other diet. I mean, that was a big thing. I love to eat, and I love to eat sweet things. I remember I was like, why can't I just eat the whole pan of cookies? I wanted to eat, why can't I eat the whole cake? I was upset. I was like, I thought it was just, I thought that was just life. I was like, oh, I could eat a whole watermelon? I mean,
that's awesome, isn't it?
So yeah, it's amazing. So people are on Jenny Craig and they're counting points and everything. It's funny that the points on the point system is like, you have unlimited points on fruits and vegetables. I mean, like, I guess I could go there and try to sell my points to people there. So yeah.
Think about that. The way unlimited, you can eat unlimited amounts. Because the thing is, if you think about a watermelon, by the time you're stuffed full of watermelon, you got 200 or 300 calories in your stomach, and I mean you're good and full for quite a while. Yeah. It's not too many calories. You do the same thing on those little cheesecake things that they say you can only eat a little bit of. You got thousands of calories in your stomach. I mean,
and it tastes good too. That's a major one. So
I know people ask, well, are you deprived on this diet? It's like, no, man.
I know.
We go out to our garden and pick like heirloom tomatoes and the fresh squash and the fruits and vegetables we buy, and I mean, every time you eat, it's just like, oh, it's so good, and you can eat a lot, and you're full, but you're not going into a coma. You still feel alert and light and good, and your brain works well, and you can be more productive in your life. And I mean, life is just better this way.
It's a sweet life, literally. I mean, we fruit and you can make ice cream. You can make a whole ton. I mean, here at the Woodstock Fruit Festival, we had ice cream for lunch. I had ice cream for lunch. What other diet does that? There is no other diet that you could just eat, ice cream for lunch.
Yeah, I had a little bit of lettuce with it.
Yeah, you could throw a little bit of lettuce, maybe throw in a little bit of
fresh fruit too.
Yeah.
And the ice cream wasn't crap ice cream, it was just frozen bananas.
Yeah.
If you let bananas get nice and speckled until they get sweeter and creamier that way, you peel them, you freeze them, and then you just, whether it's the Champion juicer or the food processor, you just mush them up. Yeah. If you want, add a little carob powder, a little bit of other fruit.
I even made a video where I just didn't even do the blender. I just smoosh them up in a bag, let them thaw out, and boom, you got, banana ice cream that way too. So.
One of my favorite banana things to make, I call it banana cream. It's similar to banana ice cream, but I take some ripe, fresh bananas, and I chop up a couple of vanilla beans, like maybe two fresh bananas, couple of vanilla beans that I chop up, fresh vanilla beans, put them in there, let that blend a little bit, and then I add frozen bananas to it. And you get a better sense of creaminess almost from the fresh bananas. And if you got a high-power blender like a Vitamix or a K-Tech, you make it really thick so it almost doesn't even pour. You still have to eat it with a spoon. Oh, so and it's just so good. It's like this vanilla malt shake thing that's just absolutely delicious. You can fill up on it, and it's good for you. It's loaded with nutrients. It's easy to digest. I mean, it's the best.
So I want to fill you in something I've been studying. It's a little bit of a controversial subject, and I want to talk about what is raw foods. A lot of people say it's 105 to 118 degrees, and anything beyond that is not living. It's not living anymore. And I found that to be a little bit false, and I wanted to get your insights on this. And I just wanted to say that, you know, I did an experiment where I took sunflower seeds, and you did it similar too.
Yep.
When I put it for 155 degrees, and I did this for 12 hours in a dehydrator. It's funny, I have this dial that says after 105, not living anymore. And then I planted the sunflower seeds, and they all grew. Every single one. You did that same, and I did this.
I
for
did
12
it in the
hours.
pre-YouTube days, and
Yeah.
I'm going to recreate it for my channel because it was fascinating.
Yeah, and the fill in with a couple other things, and then you know, I tried 175 degrees in the oven, and they didn't grow, surprisingly. And then I tried boiling them, they didn't grow. So 155 degrees, 165 degrees for like sunflowers, and I found out some things like pine nuts, you know, rice and bean, certain rices and mung beans, they can last up to 180 degrees, and like there's a certain nut out there for a certain tree that can withstand temperatures up to 280 degrees. And then there's you know, every time I take a shower, I like hot showers every morning. I'm like 110 degrees. Am I cooking myself? And then saunas are 165. You know, after a good workout, sometimes I like to go in the sauna, loosen up a little bit. And the mangoes that we get coming into America, they have to heat treat them, boil them. They put them in hot water for 118 degrees for like you know, a few hours. Yeah, and then like dates with the, you know, Arizona, the temperatures can get beyond 120 something degrees. You know, are those cooked? And then like other organisms like bees, there's this Japanese honeybee that can withstand temperatures up to 122 degrees. Wow. And then there's bacteria that withstand, they have to be beyond boiling point to actually survive. So this whole notion that things have to be, you know, if it's over 105 to 118 degrees, these things are not living anymore. And I found that there is certain things, particularly in the raw food movement, we know that, you know, cooking, you know, high temperatures like at 280 degrees, you're going to get acrylamides and acrylins and these carcinogenic compounds in the food. And but this, I think there's like a kind of a gray area from like maybe 165. That's when like the protein lysine really breaks down, and like you know, like boiling water that's like 212. So I was wondering if you could put in any kind of insights to that.
There's an hour's worth of stuff to add to that, and it's interesting. Although I'm pretty well versed on a lot of that stuff, my wife, Dr. Karen, has been the one who has looked more into where enzymes are actually destroyed, and it is true, 105 to 118 degrees Fahrenheit, depending on the study and what they were looking at. Kind of food, but you know, you made a good point, Mike, with all those different examples. Yeah. And the thing is, just think about if the air temperature in the dehydrator is 155. Yeah. And by the way, what I found is when I did my experiment, I turned the dehydrator all the way up, and I had a little probe thermometer in there, like the thing you stick in the roast beef or whatever, and then the dial was outside so I could see, and the temperature varied. It would go up, like if it's a 155, it might go to 165, then down to 145, and up and down. And the thing is, just because the air temperature is that hot, after a while, the outside of the seed is going to be that hot, and then it can take quite some time before the inside of the seed gets that hot. Yeah. And with water, if you're boiling in water, or if it's in hot water, some of the water is actually dissipating the heat. So it depends on the type of enzyme, and it depends on, you know, the type of food. I mean, there's some pine cones and those types of things that only get activated with a forest fire. And so there's a fire, and then the pine cones bloom and start sprouting. That's exactly the opposite of what we're normally told about. Yeah. But so it just depends on the substance, and it depends on the type of heat, and also it's a function of both temperature and time. Classic example of that is like when we'd occasionally have a fancy dinner as a kid, and we'd have candles on the table, my brother and I like to scare my mom, and we'd like put our finger through the candle flame. And if you just put it right through, you're fine. We might get a little black mark on our finger, but just think, you put it through, you're fine. It's the same. The candle's the same temperature no matter how long you hold your finger there. But if you leave your finger there, boy, you got about a quarter of a second before it starts to get. So, you know, a tenth of a second might be fine. A quarter of a second, you're going to get burned. So it really depends on the substance. And, you know, I wish I wrote all this stuff down so I don't have it at the top of my head. But I put the sunflower seeds in, raw hulled sunflower seeds in the dehydrator at its maximum temperature. And I did it for like 10 or 15 minutes, and they all sprouted, you know, once I soaked them and sprouted them up. But then I was like, oh my God, I was amazed. And then I think I did it for a half an hour, and most of them still sprouted. About half did and half didn't. And then I think I tried it for several hours, and then none of them sprouted.
Wow.
So it's a function of time and temperature, and it depends on the food, and it depends on the type of enzymes. Like, I would guess that if you put a leafy green in the dehydrator, those enzymes would get destroyed more easily compared to a seed like a sunflower seed.
Yeah.
You can't test it, though. The beauty of the seed, I think you and I were thinking the same way. If it sprouts, that means the enzymes, you got a built-in way to test. And the other thing is, and my wife is more the expert on this, she's the one that talks about nutrient loss from foods, from heating different foods in our Science of Raw Food Nutrition classes. But one of the points she makes is if you've got a food with a lot of fat, like a sunflower seed, that fat is a good insulator. And fat does not heat up as quickly as water does. So with nutrients, for example, the water-soluble nutrients, like the B vitamins and vitamin C, break down more quickly than the fat-soluble nutrients, like vitamins A, D, E, and K, and the carotenoids, because they're in the parts of the plant that have more fat. And fat's an insulator. So it doesn't heat up as much water, so those nutrients will stick around for longer. So I think with the sunflower seed compared to a green, like the green, you got a lot of surface area, there's a lot of water, the nutrients, or the leaf can get hotter quicker than the seed, which is kind of thicker, and the fat doesn't get hot as quickly. So anyway, it depends on a lot of things. But it's like not like if you eat some steamed vegetables that, dead food, dead people. It's like, no, you're not going to die eating steamed broccoli. It's still incredibly good stuff.
Yeah, that's a big point I want to bring out. That a lot of people are like, it's either all or nothing. You know, there's some people they can't get fruits and vegetables, fresh fruits and vegetables, and they might have to eat, grains and things like that. We don't think that's optimal, but for most people, that's what they have to do.
If it's a whole natural plant food, I mean, pretty much it's in the good category. Yeah. Then there's degrees of good. Less processed, less cooked, more raw, more fresh. It just keeps getting better from there.
I mean, there's definitely some cooking ways that, reduce some of these carcinogens.
And so you brought up that point. There are, once you start to get into the high temperature heating methods, you form new substances in the food that weren't there prior to it being heated. And a lot of them, as Mike said, are carcinogenic, meaning cancer causing.
And you could, Rick did a couple classes here talking about just carcinogens made from cooking foods. So, I think we got enough for this video. So
let me just say one more thing. If you keep food at water boiling temperature, you don't form those new substances. And so that's a much safer cooking method compared to like baking, roasting, broiling, and frying. You get those higher temperatures, new substances form that aren't good for you. So the more you can stick to raw, conservatively cooked things, whole natural plant foods, the better off you're going to be.
And as we said before, where can people find more about you?
So rawfoodeducation.com. You can find our Science of Raw Food Nutrition classes on there.
Which I want to take.
Yeah, hey, we'd love to have you. That'd be awesome. We've both got a YouTube channel. So my wife's is Karen Dina, Karin Dina. My YouTube channel is called Raw Food Education, just all one word. At some point in the future, I'll be changing it to my name, Rick Dina, Rick Dina. And we've got a Facebook page, Science of Raw Food Nutrition, and our Science of Raw Food Nutrition Level 1 class, our 12-hour class that lays a rock-solid foundation about all the science, blood sugar regulation, B12, vitamin D, nutrient loss from cooking, where do you get your protein, essential fatty acids, anti-aging and longevity, acid-alkaline balance, cleansing, you know, lays all that solid foundation. That class is available online. So you can check that out on our website also, which will refer you to Living Light's website, the school where we teach, the raw food school where we teach, and that, you know, they administer the online class. So you can check us out online. You can check out our YouTube channels for free. And if you're inspired, you can come to places like the Woodstock Fruit Festival and hear us in person. And like Mike, you can come to our Science of Raw Food Nutrition classes in Northern California. And by the time you finish that 100-hour curriculum, you know your stuff. It's just, we have so much fun because the people are excited, the light bulbs are going off, people who realize, oh my God, I can transform my life, and this is the way this works, and I don't have to have people tell me I need to eat fish, and I'm not getting enough protein. So the long answer to say, go to rawfoodeducation.com and check out all our resources there.
Can we get a bicep shot before we leave?
God. All right, so you know how there's before and after? This is the before.
Okay,
and Mike's going to make me look
No, dude. You got
so
something.
I got a little bit of something there. A little bit of something. Little bit. Left one's better than the right, so I'm showing you the left. So quarter the size of Mike's, but you know, that's inspiration. He's inspired me to try to be half his size next year. But he's going to be bigger, so I'll only be a third his size next year.
All right. So, yeah, we'll see you guys once again. All right, we'll see you guys later. I'll see you.
Thanks.